What's going on, Slayers? This is Jivets, and this is my Dauntless sword guide. I'm going to try to include some general information like basic moves and combos, as well as relevant info for the current patch and upcoming changes that are coming in the next patch. The sword is an all-around balanced weapon, bringing consistent damage with great mobility. This is currently my favorite weapon to use in the game, as I really like the high mobility of the weapon itself. This is also the weapon that you do start off with, and the best weapon in my opinion to learn the basic mechanics of the game before moving on to other weapons. The sword is one of the slashing weapons and will do increased part damage to unbroken parts of a behemoth. Slashing weapons are the only weapon capable of cutting tails and horns. They will also do increased damage to tails. Sword is pretty straightforward with your fast light attacks that build your special meter quickly, and your heavy attacks, which are obviously slower, that also apply elemental damage. Your special attacks are called overdrive. This is the meter on the upper left hand side of your screen. You build it by attacking with light attacks, building that meter much faster. Using your special sends a short ranged attack forward, dealing damage while also increasing your damage and attack speed while the meter is draining. This also makes your light attacks apply elemental damage. The special meter can be used in two ways. Once you finish filling the orb of the special attack, that part of it is locked in and can be used for an attack. Using it early, from what I've gathered, will make this meter drain faster. Once the sword around the special meter is highlighted, your overdrive meter is full. Waiting until full will give you the most time to reap the benefits of this buff state, but it isn't always the best option for DPS. I'll get into that a little bit later with the advanced techniques. It's also worth noting that with the upcoming patch, this weapon should only get stronger. Currently, elemental damage is applied by the amount of damage done to the behemoth, but in the upcoming patch, elemental damage will be applied by the amount of strikes, making faster weapons apply more elemental damage. Okay, so let's jump right into basic combos. Combos are fairly simple. You have the quad cross, which is your 4 consecutive light attacks, which is done with a left click on your mouse or X using an Xbox controller. This combo is an easy way to build your special meter without using stamina. During faster moving bosses, this is my go-to to get some damage in before they sprint off. Generally, I will skip the last double attack to dodge an incoming attack while staying close to the behemoth to start another combo. The heavy basic combo is called Rising Elements, which is 3 consecutive heavy attacks. This is done with right click on the mouse or Y using an Xbox controller. Triple Elements is your first combo that also consumes stamina. It consists of 3 light attacks followed by 2 heavy attacks after a short pause. With this combo and the one I'll talk about next, you'll see a short visual cue along with a sound effect to let you know when you can start the second part of the combo. After you do it a few times though, it's really easy to do it without needing any cues. The last combo, Repeating Elements, is currently your bread and butter combo for DPS. This combo is performed by doing 2 heavy attacks and then repeating quick consecutive light attacks. This combo is great for building your special meter as well. You can stop attacking at any time while you're doing the light attacks for a dodge roll or to start another attack. Interrupting a behemoth, or better known as booping, is an essential part of any fight in Dauntless. While the sword's fast attacks make it a decent weapon for booping, there are options that are better and worse to do this, keeping the sword in line with an all-around weapon in the game. You can boop a behemoth with the sword's light or heavy attack. Keep in mind that you currently cannot boop with the overdrive range special attack. Previous iterations of Dauntless did allow you to boop with the special attack, but as of right now in open beta patch 0.43, you can only boop with the sword's special attack if you invest in a cell called Weighted Strike. While this could be viable, it isn't something I'd really recommend. Once you get the timing down with the sword, you'll be booping snoots quite easily with the light attacks. Some sword users do prefer the heavy attack for booping though, because it does have a longer uptime, but it does have a longer windup as well. The sword is a very mobile weapon, so sticking to the behemoth as much as possible is going to be your priority, learning the ins and outs of a behemoth to effectively do as much DPS as possible. Before I begin though, let me preface that there is no right or wrong way to play Dauntless, and everything here is the most relevant for open beta patch 0.43. When you play sword, you want to play around your special meter. Put simply, your objective is to build the meter as fast as possible and then spend it to do as much damage as possible. Your best DPS currently in Dauntless is to use your Repeating Elements attack enough to build your special meter to 1 full orb. Then you use your special attack and repeat. This requires you to have at least one energized perk, which should come quite easily with gear and cells. It's worth noting that energized fits into your lantern's utility slot, so no matter which build you use with gear, you can put a +1, 2, or 3 energized in your lantern, which is what I currently do. To use this combo, you would do 2 heavy attacks followed by 3 light attacks, then press your special. While your special is draining and you have the damage and attack speed buff, you start again with it applying to your 2 heavy attacks. By the time you reach your sweeping strikes of this combo, you will be building the meter again so you can use your special again and start over. This is the highest DPS rotation for sword, with the most damage coming from your Q. Currently with Open Beta Patch 0.43, you're seeing a lot of people running the Rage Hunter, Pacifier, Aether Hunter builds, which with a decent combination of these, it's more damage to fill your meter and use your heavy attacks for damage while overdrive is draining. You can also use repeating attacks until out of stamina while overdrive is buffed, until out of stamina, then triple elements while the stamina is filling back up and repeat. This is something though you would do with this build only while the behemoth is enraged. Going forward with the elemental damage changes to the amount of hits as well as nerfs to multiplicative damage, we'll probably see a meta shift to attack speed, part damage, and cells like Cunning. Cunning is best described to me as critical strikes would be in other games. At max Cunning, it gives you a 10% chance to deal double damage. With this change, I still think the current best DPS combo will be the 2 heavies and then the consecutive light sweeping strikes until you can use your special and then repeat. Depending on how efficiently you can apply elemental damage procs next patch, we might see more DPS filling the gauge to full than doing a full sweeping strikes until out of stamina to more frequently proc elemental damage. Shock swords could also see a lot more value with the shock element effect that briefly staggers a behemoth. While all this is good and all on paper, you can't always do this combo consistently with every behemoth in every situation. It's more important with sword to consistently do damage as much as possible. Working on rolling into attacks and starting with a combo immediately afterwards is a great way to keep up with damage and minimize downtime. For the most part, you're going to find yourself using your light attacks combo the most. The best strategy is to use your light quick attacks in between larger attack windows to build your meter and get in some quick hits. Toss in a special attack when you can, but make sure that you have enough time to use the increased damage and attack speed that it gives. This section is mostly up for interpretation as there isn't really a right or a wrong way to build. It all depends on your playstyle preferences and what you enjoy. Also, with the current state of cells RNG, not everyone can make every build, so they're more about working with what you have. With that being said, I'll talk about some general tips for your sword build. Currently with the state of the game in its Rage Hunter, Aether Hunter, Pacifier meta, you're going to want to aim for the Rage Tail Gnasher's Rage Saber if your build is going to follow this. In patch 0.43, these cells are multiplicative, so they deal an overwhelming amount of damage together when a behemoth is enraged. Getting the most combined perks as possible of those 3 perks is the end goal. Rage Saber will give you +2 Rage Hunter as well as +2 Rage. With the new patch coming that will be fixing that damage, I see the other top swords becoming more prevalent. The Reza Katana and the Bloodfire's Saber are both very strong swords with great stats. The Reza Katana has 2 unique effects, one which makes the 7th hit in a row do +200% part damage, and it has a 10% chance for attacks to also hit twice. This will be made even stronger with the elemental damage changes. The Bloodfire Saber is similar, where the 7th hit in a row does +250% part damage, and it also has +1 Wild Frenzy, which increases your attack speed at low health. When I'm making my build, there are some perks that I value over others. As a part-focused weapon, the increased part damage perks like Blade Storm and Sharpened are good for a sword. Sharpened will give you more overall damage with the sword compared to Blade Storm though. Movement is also an important part of swordplay, so look to cells like Conditioning, which increases your stamina regeneration, or Agility that reduces your dodge roll cost. Being able to stay mobile and roll when necessary is a large part of playing the sword. I prefer Conditioning here for when I use all my stamina on a long repeating element. It helps get my stamina bar starting to regen quickly. As I mentioned previously, Energized is a great perk to have so you can quickly get that meter up and use it to maximize DPS. Outside of these cells, it's even more largely preference to each slayer, but attack speed perks and Cunning also work great with the sword. If you like to solo behemoths and can fit it into your build, I recommend using 9 lives and getting it to at least +4. This will save you the first time that you would have been knocked out, which is super helpful as a get out of jail free card when playing solo. Like I said originally, it's mostly playstyle preference and cell RNG here, but this is a good starting point for building swords. I'll post one of my sword builds in the description below. Take a look and feel free to use that tool to post your builds in the comments below, and I'll take a look and let you know what I think. That's all I have for you today. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe for more Dauntless weapon guides, behemoth guides, and plenty of other helpful videos. If you have any questions about Dauntless or differences of opinion, make sure to leave a comment below. I enjoy all feedback on my videos. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.